My name is Eric Gottesman. I am one of the co-founders of Four Freedoms. We were invited to curate a show at Lightwork and also an issue of Contact Sheet based on the Lightwork collection. Both I and my co-founder of Four Freedoms, Hank Willis Thomas, were artists in residence at Lightwork, and it is a real pleasure to be able to go back and look through all the work donated by other artists and residents over the years, and to see the kind of cultural production that a place like Lightwork enables. The name of our group, Four Freedoms, comes from the FOUR freedoms: freedom of speech, freedom of worship, freedom from want, and freedom from fear. These freedoms were spoken by Franklin Delano Roosevelt in 1941, and he proclaimed those four freedoms to be true for every citizen in the world. He was using these freedoms at the time to mobilize the United States into World War II. Part of what we want to do as Four Freedoms is, as artists, to reimagine and update a notion of what it means to be American. What these foundational notions of American society, freedom, liberty, justice, what do they really mean in contemporary society? The title of our show comes from a 1992 photograph by Charles Biasini Rivera in the collection. Mysteriously, he writes, "Be strong and do not betray your soul. Carry your light to illuminate your destiny. Rejoice, for you are part of the mystery." And I just found that to be quite a beautiful way to connect to the image that he made of an older man caring for what looks like a young boy in a mask. A lot of what we're thinking about as Four Freedoms is our connection to one another. What does it mean to be connected by national identity? Where do these identities and these connections break down and break apart? In a lot of the photographs in the show, we see ways in which photographers have reflected on their relationship with their country, with their identity. In Irina Rozovsky's photograph, we see a body slipping through the border of the fortified state of Israel. In another photograph, we see a same-sex couple clothed and then unclothed. A nude mother in an uncanny family portrait. One foot shoed, another bare. A soldier disappeared into the landscape. Another soldier with his head laid on the ground, dying and awake. In sifting through the Lightwork archive, what started to come into focus was how many pictures in the collection somehow bridged that gulf between the familiar and the transgressive. Territories that seem at odds, but again and again throughout these series of pictures, defy and challenge the easy polarity of ideas, right or wrong, this or that, black or white. Part of what Four Freedoms wants to do is to imagine that the ways in which we define who we are by political ideology are oversimplified, and that human beings are much more complex than any one specific image or identity or ideology might allow. We're trying to imagine that the complexity with which art allows us to understand humanity could be injected into public, civic, and even political discourse. In John Edmonds' picture, we see a young African-American man carrying a bag, head down, eyes closed, reaching his hand toward the sky. Is it in protest, in exaltation? Is it in an attempt to appear vulnerable and remain safe? I think what's a common thread through a lot of these images is that the answer is both no and yes. This is central to the Four Freedoms ethos. We believe that artists both participate and criticize, that it's possible to do both. Artists, especially those working with lenses, are inextricable from the world. We may try to isolate ourselves in a studio or a residency or a cave of our own creations, but nothing is built without us. And the creative process demands that we find new ways to build. We can't only hide away. We can't only say no. We are large, Walt Whitman writes about our nation and about ourselves. We contradict ourselves. We must also find ways to say yes. And this brings us back to the title. be strong and do not betray your soul. That small piece of text with Biasini Rivera's image is an immense mantra. It's an exhortation to artists to stay true, to think expansively, and to imagine that they are not only making, in this case, photographs, but that they are truly shaping the world around them.